Tuesday, June 24, 2026, and we'll call the Planning Commission meeting to order and start out with roll call.
Leanne Kashmarsky, White Oak Drive.
Danny Ferraro, Eagles Nest Road.
Jim Johnson, White Oak Drive.
Linda Winslow, Norwood Street.
Jason McCarthy, Planning and Zoning Administrator.
Approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Just for my memory, was this the meeting that Bethany said she wasn't going to be at? So she's excused? Okay. All right.
She sent an email too today reminding us.
Is she?
Yeah.
I didn't see that. Okay. Minutes for the previous meeting, June 10th, 2026.
Move to approve previous minutes of the previous meeting.
Somebody say support?
Support.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. Any public comment before we head into the agenda items? From anyone here? Nope. Okay. 6A, new business, special use permit public hearing number 062426-1, proposed mini warehouse storage land use to be located on a property located within the development district per the Marquette Township zoning ordinance. Article 15, Section 15.05, the property address 4135 US 41 Marquette. Parcel tax ID is 52-08019-024-20. Applicant is Matt Trito from Trito Engineering and Development, 2915 Parkview Drive in Marquette. Jason?
Yeah, thank you. So both the applicant and the property owner are here, essentially proposing to construct mini warehouses in a property that's zoned development district along the south side of US 41 on the western edge, essentially the western edge of the township. Zoning ordinance shows that that is a special use permit in the development district, and as such, we are conducting a duly called public hearing tonight. There is the subject parcel, just, north of Northwoods Lane and south of the highway. And yeah, so this property or the development would be to the east side of the property on the southeast side. There's the zoning in the area, so it's development district essentially in that entire area. The Arna Heritage Trail is right to the south, and then rural residential to the south of that. Existing site conditions, proposed site plan, which is a component of the special use permit application. 6 different mini storage units, along with retention area for stormwater. So this agenda item is to review the use. If the use is approved, then we would go to the site plan review. So this one's just for the land use and whether or not the planning commission believes that it's a viable use for the property. Ahead of conducting the public hearing, staff received one call from the property owner to the south of the development, Shelby Whitman, and spoke against it, indicated that we had already made the decision, but I explained to her that there is a process for this, and that's why she received the notification, and that she was welcome to come to the meeting and express any concerns that she may have. But yeah, didn't like it, but didn't really state, why, in my opinion. So along with that, if you have any questions for me, we'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, the development team's here too.
So, Jason, I have a question for Jason.
Yep.
So Yard Works is on this property?
It's essentially a storage unit property, yeah.
No, I mean, isn't there a business on
Oh, the
this
landscape
property?
business, yes.
Yeah, it's already on this property, so.
Yep, on the west side of the property.
Right, is there any difference in use?
Very similar in land use intensity wise.
And there's no change in any zoning district or anything like that?
No, there's not proposing to rezone the property or anything, no. It's just a similar use allowed in the same district.
And this is strictly to store, whatever, furniture, whatever, yeah, storage units.
Typical mini warehouses.
Okay. And the issue of the culvert, has to do with the site review part of this, right?
It does.
Okay, so we don't have to talk about that now, we'll talk about that later.
We can talk about it later if you'd like, yep.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Jason or the applicants? If you guys want to add anything here before we open the public hearing, you're welcome to do that now.
Matt Trito, 2915 Parkview Drive. Here is the engineer, Andrew Kilpua, also here is the owner. Just here to answer any questions or concerns that you might have as we kind of go through the process here tonight. But yeah, looking forward to making sure that any initial or remaining concerns are alleviated. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. No questions, comments? Okay,
Is this actual piece of property?
9+, I think it is, 9 acres?
9.11.
9 acres? And how much of the property will the buildings or whatever occupy?
2.3 of the 9 developed,
Okay.
so plenty of open space
Yes.
for our ordinance anyway.
so is there anything different about this property because there will be two different uses on this?
In my view, no. I mean, it's very similar to what's there now. There's other storage buildings there. This is just an expansion of that, and to clean it up for Andrew's purposes, wanted to make sure, as a young developer, that he has kind of went through the process to establish everything.
Does the staff have a recommendation?
Barring any, public comment that's received, we feel that it's a viable use. It's, other than the DNR, Iron Ore Heritage Trail right away, which kind of beat them up on a little bit, which would be addressed during the site plan review process. Don't have an issue. It's off the highway. It's really out of sight, kind of other than along the trail, but we'll address that in the buffer. I look at the Iron Ore Heritage Trail as a public right-of-way and viewing as such for screening and buffer yard requirements. And the DNR actually had some comments on the site plan and what they would like to see, or just make sure that the 100-foot right-of-way in that area is maintained. So 50 feet from the center line, there needs to be, that we're recommending in the site plan review process that be staked and maintained throughout the project. And then we also negotiated with the developer to create a screening fence along a portion of the property to screen that activity from the Iron Ore Heritage Trail. So we've been working behind the scenes on this before it gets to you, to address some of the staff's considerations and then some of what you probably would.
Anything else before we open up the public hearing?
Questions here?
All right, then let's open the public hearing at 6:09 PM. Anyone wishing to come forward at this time can come forward. Don't see anyone coming forward here, so we can close the public hearing at 6:10 PM. And any comments, questions, motions?
I move to approve the land use as set out in item 6A of the agenda.
I second that.
Discussion? The vehicle access and the fence will come in the site review. We can
Yes,
save for
yeah,
that.
we'll detail that for you.
Okay.
Along with the creek that's there as well,
Okay.
or intermittent stream. whatever you call it.
All right, no discussion. We'll have the roll call vote. Leanne Kishmarski,
Yes.
Denny Ferraro,
Yes?
Linda Winslow,
Yes.
Jim Johnson's a yes. Okay,
Okay,
that passed unanimously.
stick with this, this one here.
All right, let's hit into 6B then. Site plan review number 062-426-1. Propose many warehouse storage structures to be located on a property located within the development district per the Marquette Township zoning ordinance, Article 15, Section 15.05, property address 4135 US 41 Marquette. Parcel tax ID is 5208-019-02420. Applicant Matthew Trito, Trito Engineering and Development, 2915 Parkview Drive in Marquette. Jason?
Yeah, so, same property, same zoning, same development. So what's being proposed here are six 40 by 120 mini warehouse storage structures, which would be accessed through a drive that is over a culvert, over this stream. There's some parking in this area, the proposed septic tank, and a drainage ditch or drainage pond, or a small pond, probably not gonna take much. And then, let's see. One of the buildings will have a restroom in it and will be served by an existing well on the property, and that will go through the county health department. And then, along with, and what we talked about previously, was the screening fence along the south side of the property. And what happens right at the end of this fence where it's proposed is that the topography drops off. So as you're riding down the trail, when you're looking to the left, let's say eastbound into town, there would be, the earth starts to take over basically, and it screens that. Plus, they've left a lot of freestanding trees that screen the development as well. So there is a buffer yard that was maintained. Yeah, most importantly is the right-of-way of the Arner Heritage Trail. So the DNR was adamant that that be maintained and staked and maintained throughout the project. So if you look, if you've driven by it or anything, there may be some things that are actually within that area right now that would just need to be pulled back, and the screening fence can actually go right on the property line. They don't have an issue with that. And what that does is it just maintains and establishes the right-of-way there, and it cleans up the view from the Arner Heritage Trail, which is something that we work with the developer on. Aside from that, they're going to be your typical mini storage type construction, nothing fancy but effective.
How many did you say there were going to be?
6 of them.
6, okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And here's kind of some renderings of that. This is the permit that's already been secured from Eagle for the culvert, so that is already in place. And then one thing I wanted to talk about with regard to the site itself is this intermittent stream here. So this has been here for many years, according to the Shelby Whitmans. And the problem that I had with the initial site plan, because this one's been revised, is that we don't have we have a setback for waterfront properties, but waterfront properties do not include yet intermittent streams or any water body. The PUD language, though, does have a 50-foot buffer, and that's what we applied, and that was agreeable to the developer. So there's no construction, no storage, no anything within 50 feet of the basically the ordinary high water mark. It's a pretty well-defined stream. It's pretty busy in the spring, and then it kind of tapers off in the summer a little bit. But it is continuous. All of the buildings meet the setback requirements. Obviously, this would be the side yard, so they're a little tighter to the side yard. And because these two land uses are, well, this is vacant, and then this is commercial, but it's lower intensity in some ways. There's really no buffer yard requirement on the east side. It would be up to me, and essentially it says the zoning administrator. But at this time, they also left a buffer of trees, which is the best practice on that side of the property as well. So one of the challenges that we're dealing with is the access to the site off of US 41. So this is a long-standing driveway that's been there many years. And the problem with it is that it's a little bit too steep for our fire apparatus. Our ordinance allows for an 8% grade. The NFPA, or what the fire department uses for their standards, is 5%. What we've come up with, if it's agreeable to the developer and the planning commission, is an agreement that holds the township harmless in the case of an emergency, essentially, recognizing that the private driveway proposed for access of a new mini storage development on the above described property contains a grade that exceeds the NFPA and the township fire prevention code criteria for emergency vehicle access. The physical features of the land and the development site interfere with the ability to reduce the grade of the existing driveway to 8% or less. Essentially, it's all rock. And so the owner acknowledges that depending upon the circumstances presented, emergency vehicle access may be impeded or impossible and may involve additional risk to life and property. So we've run this by the developer. This actually came from Attorney Zappra, legal counsel. If you recall at all, there was a similar instrument used for Blue Heron Bluffs with their private road extension. There is about 4 inches of apparatus clearance, according to Chief Shanahan. You look at communities like Calumet or Houghton, and you wonder how they can do any development with the amount of hills there. So I think this instrument covers that. If the planning commission's comfortable, staff is comfortable with it, the developer's comfortable with it, and legal counsel's comfortable with it. So barring any other things that I missed, we're recommending approval.
The screening, probably, you want to show them the fence?
Oh, yeah, I did include a rendering of the fence there. Or I thought I did. There it is. Yeah, so I don't know if there'll be a sign on there or not. Not sure if that's allowable or not. That was something that.
Is that fence screening off the Iron Ore Heritage Trail from this? Is that what that
This would be looking at the site from the Iron Ore Heritage.
Okay, gotcha.
50 feet off of the right-of-way. So it probably is a little tight to where it actually would be.
That wouldn't be looking at it from the Heritage Trail, that'd be looking at it from your property, right?
Nope, that's looking at
The
it from
other
the
way.
trail. It would just be
The
further
trail?
into the property a little bit.
So that's like to your left as we're going down the trail,
Yep.
to the left, looking that way, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Is that the finished side then on that? Kinda doesn't look like it.
Township doesn't have a requirement to have the finished side out.
Oh, okay.
It's also just a chat.
Yeah, it's a AI rendering,
Oh,
just to show.
Looks good, eh, Jim?
Let me get through the rest of this, Denny. Let's see. So the site organization looked good. Locations of buildings meet our height and bulk requirements. We talked about the access, the Eagle Culvert, Parking, there's not much parking required, but it's provided. The circulation is there for the fire apparatus once they're into the site. And the stormwater is going to be conveyed to the southeast. Utility services are minimal. Landscaping requirements are met. A note on, 3H with regard to the DNRs. The applicant shall have the southern property line adjacent to the Iron Ore Heritage Trail marked and staked throughout the course of the construction so as to prevent encroachment. Any signs that would go up, I think you're pretty much maxed out on signage, but we can deal with that separately. There are some wall pack lighting proposed, and those do meet the requirements of the dark sky lighting ordinance. Those have been provided. And then other factors would be, of course, to acquire all of your Marquette County Building Department permits, and then financial guarantees. So staff's recommending approval contingent upon the submission and approval of 3C, 3D, 3F, 3H, and 4, which is pretty standard at this point in the development. And I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have ahead of that.
I have a question, on the grade issue, how did Yardworks get,
It was an existing drive. It's been there for many years, so he purchased the property and the buildings that were already there. And this is an additional development on the same property.
in terms of the septic and the retention ponds, are they pre-existing?
No, those will be new, but they'll be approved by the county drain commissioner. The retention pond will have to meet our stormwater ordinance, and the septic field would be approved by the health department.
Okay, and what type of surface is being used? Is it gonna be asphalt, concrete?
You're doing
Crushed gravel.
crushed gravel.
Crushed gravel, okay. So
Which is pervious, yeah. So that reduces,
Yeah.
which is great, because it reduces the amount of retention required.
Okay, thank you, that's all the questions I have.
You're welcome.
How much actually is the grade going in there?
There's portions of it, if you measure it, it's like closer to 10%. We did have a meeting on site with Lauren and Dan and reviewed, the challenges that they had, and we kind of looked at the process. And I believe they even brought some of their fire trucks on site to see what the clearances were and make sure, like, they have a smaller one and a larger one, and the smaller one can get on the site. They have had the smaller ones been on the site. And so we're very appreciative of the fire department and zoning and Attorney Zappa putting their heads together and coming up with a process that kind of like helps us move the ball forward while also acknowledging the fact that there are some challenges.
And I'm surprised that you have to have a is that a requirement for a storage unit?
Is not required, that is something that Andrew wanted to have on site.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen that before, that you have a restroom on site for a storage unit facility. So that's really nice. That's all I had.
Just for my information, Jason, is there a setback for drain fields and septic tanks?
Yeah, there is, and we'll be held to that same standard, and so that exact location, Jim, might shift slightly, but it's in the approximate location where it'll end up. But we'll still be held to that same final standard and site plan review by the health department.
Oh,
Do-
yeah, that would be a county requirement. I don't know what.
Oh, it's
their-
not
It's not a
township,
Anything regarding,
septic or
yeah, well, our
water?
septic would be provided by the county.
So where's the well on here? Haven't found it yet.
It's existing.
Okay,
and
so it's
up
not marked on
towards
here?
the, I believe it's up towards the existing buildings.
Okay.
Do you want to point it out, Matt? Do you know where the exact where that falls in?
Probably up by the pole barns?
Yeah.
I figured that. And since yard builder is kind of a seasonal business, right now, are you keeping that plowed?
Yeah, oh yeah, no, we plow all the time commercially, so we plow and sand that entrance every time. So we keep a loader at the location, so it's the first thing we plow and the last thing we clean up. Yeah.
Okay.
So it pay it twice during the storm, or more in the same day.
Must be hard plowing the hill.
Not so bad as the loader.
Yeah.
It's actually not that bad of a deal. Like, we had full log trucks come in, and
Well,
dump
we've
trucks,
And we were talking about
and
that.
fire truck was in there multiple times, but.
One of the bigger issues, more so than just grade, is grade differential. So like when you're coming maybe off of a 3 and into an 8, then you have a really big problem because your grade differential is a lot more extreme, which results in a lot more like your fire truck smashing. This driveway is designed in a very nice MDOT approved way where that you have like a landing at the bottom that comes into a grade that is higher than that NFPA 1 standard. But at least you're able to like rise slowly into that grade, which is why they were able to get some of those fire trucks in there.
Is this a 24-hour accessible storage unit?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, is it my turn? Are you done? Are you done?
Is everyone done?
Yeah.
Yeah?
So I have a question. So if it's open 24/7, so what do you expect your traffic to be like? Because coming down that highway, people think they should be going 70, and there's not a deceleration lane going into that business. Is this going to increase greatly the number of people going in and out? No.
It's so minimal.
Okay, well, it's still, it's a good question because
There actually is a little bit of a deceleration.
well, I think those people missed it.
No, there's a wide shoulder because I come down the hill and turn into Northwoods Road there often, and it's, you can get off the road.
I can get into the shoulder with a dump truck and have cars.
Okay, so we won't, because we're always concerned about the traffic flows as we build up along 41, and, yeah, because, yeah, people are,
It's very.
it's so you're satisfied and you don't think there'll be any issues.
Dump truck and then cars can go fast.
Okay, all right, well, that's good to know, yeah,
And
because,
that's a low traffic use type too as well.
right, but you just never know what storage people are going to be doing.
Sure. Be under the watchful eye of Andrew, that's one of the benefits of having his business there, that he's gonna be able to keep
Yeah.
a close eye on things.
So, thank you.
And it's not gated, right? Okay. I've seen some that are
Potentially, I
gated
could,
with a code pass,
Yeah, it is possible, but that's pretty.
not necessarily. Yeah. Sounds good.
How long is that fence going to be? How many feet roughly?
Let's see, Jason.
By the scale of it,
Maybe 100 feet.
maybe 100 feet.
How many?
About 100.
100? Okay.
That's like the, yeah, it's about 100 feet.
That'd be the perfect fence to put behind Goodwill and
Yeah.
Starbucks over there to replace the one that's up there now.
Oh, it's going to be required as part of the development.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be perfect for it.
So, Jason, are there other fencing along the Iron or Heritage Trail that looks somewhat like that? Or is this the first time? Because I see those trees growing in and I see shrubbery growing up, and you're not even going to see that fence in 5 years.
That's not true. It's
Is it
it's
too
pretty wide
rocky?
open there, which is why we,
Oh, you don't think someone would, well, seems like a perfect place to plant along. Grow
yeah, but
some
they have to be
things.
50 feet off of the center line of that trail. So it's into the, from what it appears from the trail, it's actually into the property more than it would appear. Just like your front yard in Trowbridge is further into your yard than you realize it is because the right-of-way extends into the front yard.
Correct. But I see the fence eventually, there's some growth will happen from the forest.
Yeah, hopefully.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I see that as it won't look like a fence in 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, and he's a landscaper, so I asked him to make it look nice. And
Yeah.
demonstrate how his property,
Yeah.
how his business
Yeah,
works. So.
really, we're all about the flowers and turning back to nature. So it could be a demonstration kind of project.
You might answer this already, Jason. Does the right-of-way of the trail go onto their property at all?
Well, no, that's the purpose of the right-of-way. So we're gonna reestablish the right-of-way in some ways by requiring this fence to be on the property line. So that maintains the right-of-way throughout the summer and the winter with regard to snowmobiles. Yep.
Okay. Well, any other comments? Questions or motions?
Well, Jason, you need approval for the site plan and emergency vehicle access agreement, and you just named specific, like C, whatever, D, whatever. What do you need for the motion for you? Yes.
Hold on.
There were certain things in the sections that you made, and I didn't catch them all.
Sure. Let's get back to where we were here.
Because I know we have to be very specific with our notes for legal reasons.
3C would cover the agreement.
Okay. So that doesn't.
Yep. So 3C covers the agreement, 3D covers the drainage and stormwater, which needs to be submitted to our Public Works Superintendent to meet. 3F covers the fire prevention, and that also covers 3C. 3H deals with landscaping and the fence and maintaining the 50-foot from center line right away. And then 4 covers other factors including county building permits and the financial guarantee.
Is that everything?
Yes, ma'am?
All right. Okay, I make a motion that we approve the site plan for the proposed mini warehouse storage structures. And then to include 3C, 3D, 3F, 3H, and also section 4 as stated.
Second.
Any further discussion? Jason, this is the first time I've seen this emergency vehicle access agreement. Is this the first time that you've come up with this for something, a property of this?
No, as I stated earlier, we used it on Blue Heron Bluffs, private, or their road extension essentially,
Okay,
in the same manner. So I'm assuming it's an instrument similarly used in other communities that have, just some great issues like Houghton or Hancock or Calumet or something like that.
I was just kind of thinking that, can't remember what business that was that's up above Mount Manufacturing now, but when we talked about that, I don't remember us doing any kind of an agreement for that at that point. So I was just wondering if this is something new for businesses?
Yeah, I believe that one met the requirements, but I'm not positive. I have to look back on that.
Okay. All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay.
Thanks.
Y'all shot, fellas.
Yeah, thanks for the help,
We'll
Jason.
be in
Thank
touch.
you.
Thank you, good luck.
No unfinished business.
No.
Correspondence, 2026 blight property maintenance open cases. Quite a few of them.
Yes, Kyle's been busy, and This is just a spreadsheet that he created, which is helpful. And just letting you know what addresses and what the infractions are that he's been working through. So this is just informational for you. He's working more with Eric than I at this point, so if you have any detailed questions on it, I would just refer you to Kyle or Eric. But we wanted to include that at least to show that the employee is working diligently.
Yeah, he must be pretty busy. With all these on here.
Yep. No, it's great to have an extra set of eyes out there,
Mhm.
and dedicated set of eyes to address these concerns.
Have you been getting many complaints, like called in or?
Get a few that trickle in. A lot of people like to remain anonymous because they have to live next to the neighbor that they may be expressing their concerns about. But we get it done. We're trying to get it done anyway. There's a process.
It's right at the very end. It's like the second from the last sheet.
Any other questions or comments about the list? Okay, Linda, you're up. Township Board report.
So I wasn't at the last meeting, but I did check to see what went on, and there was some information about a Semco gas line that needed to be moved for the new housing development, and other than that, they said that was it. I'm sure there was more good stuff, but there certainly are concerns. I think our board's concerned about the whole landfill or whatever, what's going on out there. Yeah, so I'm sure, stay tuned, I'm sure we'll have more information about that, but, yeah. That's it.
Rec committee report. I see we have a written report from Denny.
Yeah, Denny's provided that for your information. Any questions on that, I guess, let us know. Help me with my meeting minutes, thank you.
Welcome. Your memo that you did and gave to the Recreation Committee was excellent and laid out policy, laid out priorities.
Thank
laid
you.
out goals and objectives. It was very, very good.
So, yeah, essentially we have a fresh master plan, and that actually coincides with the expiration of the recreation plan at the end of the year. So the recreation plan, once it's approved by the DNR, keeps us eligible for Natural Resource Trust Fund, passport, grant applications throughout a 5-year period. So we're aiming to update the recreation plan and get that approved before February 1. There'll be a public hearing at some point, and the Planning Commission will certainly see that. It'll likely move quickly just because we have some projects that were not completed that are still in the plan. And then we also have some other things to update. But the beauty of this process this year is that our master plan has been completed. So there's lots of recreation data to glean from in the master plan to translate that into the rec plan and to come up with some viable projects for grant opportunities. So we'll be working along that, or working through that, and then along with that, trying to find some creative ways to come up with matching funds and extra money where we can. So we're going to try to think outside the box that way, and we'll keep you posted as that progresses.
Well, I thought the important parts of your presentation were how the public input, which shaped the master plan, can carry over quite easily to the recreation plan in terms of priorities and so forth, policy and goals and objectives.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I thought was very important, and I'd like to just briefly make some comments about it, is the funding issue. Your memo stressed in a certain certain parts, that we need to explore more stable recreation funding mechanisms, I'm quoting you, including the possibility of a recreation millage or dedicated annual capital funding, and should address expressly long-term funding for both capital improvements and land acquisition. So, I ask a lot of questions sometimes, and I asked you some questions of what's our budget? And you said we really don't have a budget. Nobody's been budgeted for us. I asked you, are there any nonprofit organizations in our township that could help the township raise money? And you indicated you were not aware of any, in terms of Friends of the Park organizations. Like, there's many other townships in Michigan that have formed Friends of the Park organizations. They're independent of the township government, but they are nonprofits. They are usually staffed or organized by steering committees and so forth of interested citizens, like perhaps people, Linda, you may know some people in Trowbridge Park that would be interested in forming a nonprofit. And I know that I think Roger Zappa could easily prepare the documents. It's not that difficult. And you get 501c3 status, and you can have fundraising events. And we could do something for our township like the people did for the Matson Park playground. That's one thing. And then in terms of millage, in 2020, by a margin of more than 2-1, our township residents approved a recreation millage. And I think in the first year, the township collected $138,000 from that millage to be applied to improvements that went to Lions Field, I believe. I think that could be done again. Another thing question that I asked you, you responded, with respect to the capital improvement process. And every year, our planning commission is required and approves of capital improvement. And those are presented by various departments. And I asked you who would present that. You said it would be you that could present a capital improvement request. I checked the bylaws of the Recreation Committee and found out that in the bylaws, it says that the Recreation Committee will provide to the township manager requests for what capital improvement budget or any budget should be for the Recreation Committee, and that should be done before July, but I imagine there's some wiggle room in terms of when that can be presented. So I think that what I'd like to do as a new member of the Recreation Committee is suggest to all of us here, because we have our commission, although I don't think the Recreation Committee is a committee of the Planning Commission. I think it's a committee of the township. Okay, well then we even have more to say about it. I looked at the bylaws and it wasn't clear to me that they had to, well anyway, regardless of that. So I'd like to talk about, and I know I went to Trowbridge Park today and looked at the field and tried to get some idea of like where you could put a splash pad, and looked at the ice rink and so forth, although the ice rink isn't really one of the high priorities. But, you know, we have some high priorities that were expressed in the survey in terms of improvements. So I'd like to, you know, see us approve a capital improvement budget item to submit to the township board of at least $75,000 to $100,000 for this year, whether that would meet with favor or no favor or whatever. I think it's incumbent on us to at least try to advance some proposal for some funds to the township board through the CPI process. I also would like to maybe have a work session, maybe with some of the members of this committee, or actually, we can, I don't know when we're gonna meet the recreation committee again. Is it always the 16th of the month?
No, it's the third Tuesday of.
Third Tuesday, okay, so it'll be the third Tuesday of July. And talk about like, okay, who politically, you're gonna need voters to approve a millage. Politically and socially, you're gonna need interested citizens to get involved in a nonprofit. So, most of the people in the township live in Trowbridge Park, so, Linda, maybe you know some leaders there in Trowbridge Park who might be interested in forming a steering committee and getting a nonprofit going. Those are some ideas. But I think that in terms of funding for the recreation needs of the township in general, and more specifically to set up a good, healthy reserve of matching funds, I think we have to address this funding issue head on. So those are my thoughts on it. And also, I just want to say, I didn't realize what a gem Shenwood Park was. I walked every trail and was bitten by many mosquitoes on that day, but I'm telling you, it was very, very beautiful. I took a trip up the South Trail, and the South Trail goes up, and it just goes right along the border of the new Heritage Trails housing development. But it dead ends right at a fire plug on 492, right across the street from Lost Creek. And I noticed when I was just up there looking, somebody was trying to struggle to come with their dog across the street. Some people were trying to get across with a couple bikes. But I think that might be a short-term thing we could do, and we talked about maybe getting a Superior Watershed Partnership to help refurbish that trail, but and we could maybe make it a little more safe. But anyway, I was just really impressed by what's been done there. It's really beautiful. It's like, wow, this whole, I don't know how many acres it is, but man, it's really, yeah, it's a beautiful
12.
trail.
12.
We acquired another 7-something.
And its connection with the Iron Arch Heritage Trail is really nice. I mean, there's.
And the trail that goes down to the tunnel too, yeah. It's a neat development in that it's been collaborative with NTN.
Yeah.
And,
Very nice.
yeah, the DNR, yeah, it's neat.
All right, that's all I have to say about the Recreation Committee report.
Welcome aboard, Danny.
Thank you.
Were you suggesting like some type of a safe crossway to cross 492?
Yeah.
Across where that big pine tree is, and then there's that fire hydrant, and right across the street
Is Lost Creek.
Is Lost Creek.
There's an opportunity to tie into, and what will be happening is with residential development, will tie into that, and they will have a proposed crosswalk across that section. So it's been addressed. The main goal of the rec committee from here until February will be get the rec plan done.
Yes.
Then we can talk about projects, in my view anyway.
But I think we have to, again, I want to emphasize, I think you got to ask if you want to get money.
Mhm.
And I think we have to follow the procedures that are set out in the bylaws of the Recreation Committee and do a CPI and send it to the township so they can all look at us and say, okay, whatever you want, we'll give it to you.
So Danny, you can see on our goals list over there, our priority goals, the roof over the ice rink has been on there. So that was a goal, that is a goal. It will increase the use of that ice surface.
I wasn't dissing it, I was just
Oh,
pointing
no.
out that it's.
Yeah, so it's on lots of people's minds and on their plates, and
That might be a popular thing to motivate voters to approve a millage in 2028.
Well, you know, when I think of that, when I think of a roof over that, I also think that that might generate some money for the township to put money back into parks. Because then you can rent that space out. people would probably rent it out for a wedding reception in the summertime or whatever, because it's in town, it's convenient, you've got bathrooms right there, you have entertainment for little kids right there. It, you know, and obviously a smaller wedding, not a big wedding or a reception or a family reunion, because it's covered.
Yeah.
And you can't depend on the weather. So that could be a revenue generating item. I like that idea, because it could put money back in. It could pay for itself essentially. So,
Right. Roof the Ring, that's the name of the new
the
nonprofit.
fundraiser, Roof the Ring.
Okay, we'll call it that, Roof the Rink.
That's a good idea.
RR.
Will you be able to use
We,
DDA millage money for any of this recreation?
Potentially, if it becomes a project that's viable and gets into their program,
the
'Cause
other.
you wouldn't,
not at Lions Field, but in
up
other areas
here.
of the township,
There's a,
within the DDA.
because you're only at 1 mil right now with the DDA, right?
Yeah, you can go up to 2
Because you can do
mils
another,
without a vote.
yeah. I mean, you could do without even asking and just raise that if you wanted.
You're correct, we can't.
What's the mill provide? Rob? How much? That'd be a good start.
As far as your,
Wait,
For,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, another time.
yeah.
Okay. Anything else done with recreation? Planning and zoning? Jason?
Our office is in full swing right now. The master plan, as you know, has been completed, adopted by the township board as well, or by the planning commission, confirmed by the board. I visited Pride Printing yesterday, and they should be printing copies for us. Rec plan update commenced on June 17th, last Tuesday. And of course, the zoning ordinance update commenced essentially on June 10th. We'll get back into that next month. Let's see. The teen car wash project, the applicant has submitted a revised stormwater plan. And then, in addition to that, the Ryan's Alley 30-foot right-of-way is currently pending through the circuit court. The Heritage Trails PUD, that's, as you probably have noticed, has been at a standstill for a little bit. That is because a master deed is required to be recorded prior to them commencing on construction. They have to, you know, right now it's one parcel, but they want it set up in a site condominium format. So in order to do that, you have to have legal descriptions for all the properties. So that should be coming maybe by the end of the week, but certainly by next week, and then we'll get cracking on that project. Mount Manufacturing, I think you've seen that kind of progress over there. They've really done a lot of work, and if you're online, cross-contracting or cross-construction, they've been posting pictures on the interior and whatnot, so a really nice infill development there. Culver's is all complete, so they did a drive-through lane, extra menu board, and they relocated their dumpster enclosure. Rental is relocated to the H&R Block building. Acoustic panels have been installed at the pickleball courts, thanks to the township board. And property maintenance is in full swing. In addition to that, we get calls on all kinds of things throughout the week. And with Eric being up this week, I am personally very busy.
Any feedback on the acoustic panels? How long have they been in?
yeah, I would say 10 days.
Complaints? Yep. Or seem to be climbing it down, or no?
Anything happening with the Westwood Mall?
Yeah, we attended a site visit with a developer that's interested in purchasing it, and that's all I can say at this point. But it was a favorable meeting, and it was nice to attend that to see the extensive damage that was actually there. Like, you can't, I don't think the news projected very well what happened, but to see it in person is pretty devastating. Lucky nobody got hurt.
Anything else with that other entrance going in the back there into the mall? That
Not as of yet, no. I thought they were gonna be open in March. I don't know what kind of delays. When we were in the mall, they were working on, they were in there working on the, I don't know what you call it, congregation? Church, yeah, church is fine.
Yeah. North Iron, I think it's called.
Yeah, North Iron, yeah, so I would assume that at some point they're gonna be putting some asphalt down and getting rid of the barriers there, fixing that entrance.
Any announcements from anyone?
I was approached by a group, they formed a 503C, and their name is Quanticitum. And basically, they're a group of people who are trying to organize, in case of emergency situations, flood, fire, whatever it might be, that there's nothing in place actually in the UP for large animal, livestock, or even cats and dogs, whatever, animal rescue. And this is a group that would only be activated like through the county emergency management people, or coordinator. So they're in the process of forming their 503C. Kathy Ruprecht is the lady who's kind of leading the charge, and I've known her for a number of years. And I'm a member of the Superior Land Pet Partners I do therapy dog work. And she came and spoke to us late last year, and she was talking about, it's a big process to try and organize this. And she's trying to really organize Marquette County, but there's nothing in place in the UP to help with large animal rescue or whatever. And so this really needs to be UP-wide, which is quite a task to take on. But anyway, when she presented to Superior Land Pet Partners at our membership meeting last fall, and she was talking about, they'll need to, look for grants and different things like that. And I know through my past work experience, working with the federal government, anybody who's writing grants has to be registered in the federal system called SAM, System for Awards Management. And it can be a very difficult registration process if you don't know what you're doing. And I know this system very well because I worked with it and taught people how to use it. So I called her up the first part of the year, and I said, Kathy, if you need help with registration, I would be happy to help you. I said, I know nothing about grant writing, but I'd be happy to help you with the registration process in the federal system. She said, well, thanks. Well, then a couple months later, she called me and she said, would you be interested in being on our board, and would you start with grant writing and whatever. So anyway, I have been committed to helping with this situation. So you'll probably hear more about this as they get more organized and get their feet underneath them. But they've already been in contact with the emergency people, emergency management people in the county, so that they have to have a place to go, like coordinate, for example, if there were a fire and they had to take in somebody's horses, cattle, what do they do? Who hauls them? Who are the vets on call? Where do you take them? Like the county fairgrounds, and have those arrangements made in place. So that's the kind of thing that they're working on right now. So anyway, just an FYI on that.
Okay.
What's the name of it? The group again?
Quanticitum. Yeah, I could tell you, that's how I would.
I'll look it up, thank you.
Yeah.
You're probably working with Brian Hummel, who's on our recreation committee, right? Isn't he emergency management for the county?
He is?
Yeah.
911, yeah.
Any other announcements? Public comment? Yes, ma'am.
Thanks to the sheriff. I have seen Kathy report to the county board a couple times.
Okay.
You've done great presentations. I thought it was already in the works, but it sounds like it's still,
It is in the works, but there's just
More
so
stuff.
much for
Yeah.
going, yeah.
Danny, your comments about recreation are really very thoughtful. I think those are some really good things you could work on as a committee. When I was on the planning commission, Ellen Sargent and Mike Springer were adamant about that, and they talked about it frequently. I was in the middle, and I had one on each side. So they were constantly talking about the board coming up with some kind of a standard millage or budget amount or whatever, and the tribunal hit. And that kind of put the kibosh on it, because Gerard was trying to come up with even like $50,000 a year to keep the park going, get it, because it wasn't as good as it is now, neither was Schwemmwood. We were working on the park at that time at Schwemmwood, cutting the trails and cutting the branches and covering the creeks with, sticks and boards and everything else.
Nice bridges there now, though.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Yeah, but the one even closer to 492, there's the little creek that runs through there that we were trying to, I've got pictures of a lot of that. But anyway, that's what put the kibosh on everything, was the dark stores. It was all around that same time. So we have talked about it recently, not this year, but we have talked about it. We did have I forget what it was, if it was a mill or half mill or something for 2 years. And that kept, most of that was buying equipment and covering staff to get the parks kind of up to speed, so that helped. So we didn't renew it when it came up, and we're kind of struggling with the same stuff right now with, MAPS has got a millage. We want a millage from the fire department, the library's on there. There's a lot, trash is gonna go up. I kind of mentioned that the last meeting, July 1st. There's a lot of things that are adding to people's paychecks or subtracting from them. If you heard the Alice report that Andrew Rickauer gave at the last meeting, it was very telling. 48% of Trowbridge is right at that level of not being able to meet expenses. That's huge, and like you said, that's a big part of our population. So we're really tightening our buckles, our belt, and trying to figure out what do we ask people, more from. But we are gonna ask for a fire millage. We'll see how that passes. We also I signed the contract yesterday to buy the ladder truck that we've been having in the works for 4 years, 100-footer. So fire department's putting in $500,000, and then we're gonna loan ourselves the balance of 1.5 roughly, and because it's cheaper than doing the bank. So that's, I forget, a 10-year, I don't remember, 10-year loan to ourselves, that we can do that with. So that's part of why we kind of stopped with recreation millage. I just wanted to give you a little bit of that background.
Sure.
But you can call me anytime if you've got distance questions, even, before Jason.
When I was over here the other day, I had to run into Randy, and we started talking, and just after I was on the recreation committee meeting, and I mentioned millage, and he said, oh yeah, we had that one in 2020. And then I said, well, maybe we could do one again, and he suggested it wouldn't be good until like 2028. That might be the best year, that is
Maybe.
the general election,
Yeah.
So I mean, wouldn't be something like this year, next
Right,
year.
yeah, no, I
Yeah.
didn't take it that way, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's possible.
But I think maybe a nonprofit.
That'll be a different board too.
Maybe a nonprofit could
Yeah,
help,
that's a
you
great
know?
idea. That's kind of what Springer did with the tunnel. He kind of took that and ran with it, and the township didn't pay anything, it was all donations. So it's possible if you've got somebody to spearhead it, or, you know, 2 or 3 people that wanna go guns. It's possible. Just a couple other things that, I mentioned the fire truck ladder. Our manager got his annual evaluation and he got a 4.7 out of 5, so he was happy with that. That qualifies him for his bonus. And the board was happy. The comments on the evaluations were good. The assessing department has a new employee, and I say that in quotes because it's a contract worker. That means the 20% of the field work that has to be done every year for 5 years in touching every house in the township is gonna be done by a contract worker. So we specifically contract, this woman will use her own car and her own computer and her own notepads and her own everything. We provide her with a name tag for credentials and a stick that she will download the information to and give to Janelle to update our assessing records. So she can do it anytime she wants. She has from like, I forget, 9 in the morning until, or 8 in the morning until 7 at night or something. You're gonna be getting a postcard if your area is being appraised. It's outside work, measuring, taking pictures, that's uploaded to the database. And again, this is required. So I think she's starting in the Forestville area, somewhere up there, I'm not positive. Dulcie's got the township portioned out, so that'll be starting like in a week or so. Postcards should be going out, and it'll say why, who the person is. So we're kind of excited about that. When Janelle split her time and went half-time fire department and half-time to assessing, this was part of the deal. And in order to pay for this person, we, Dulcie volunteered to cut her wages as assessor. So there's no extra cost for this other than like now sending out the postcards and doing the badges. That's it. So it's a wash. So that's something kind of unique for the township and kind of different. I did want to explain that. We're still working on heritage trails, like Jason said, the abandonment. You were talking about that Semco. You mentioned the Semco. If you picture 492 going to the right past Lost Creek, that wasn't a stop sign years ago, and I think I might have mentioned this before because we talked about the Starbucks Road when they first made the presentation about taking the 5 acres. That was a curve, and all the utilities are in that curve. And when the Starbucks Road went in, that's when the road commission teed off that intersection. So because it's teed, and it used to be this way, this was where the utilities are. So the water and sewer are not a problem, but the Semco gas would go right through a house or 2 houses, I forget. So that is gonna have to get moved, and we're gonna figure out who's gonna pay for that. We might pay part, maybe the road commission will pay part. Maybe Semco will take part, I'm not sure. I don't know if Mitch will have to pay for some, but that's just a little more history of that, why that's happening.
Is the signage in terms of traffic control going to change at that intersection at all?
Nope, it'll stay the same. I think that's all the main things that we talked about at the last meeting. Yep, that's it, unless you have any questions.
I have a question. So, we know that our costs are gonna go up, or our usage, I should say, for like EMS, fire department with the new veterans facility being built. Do we get anything from them to help with anything?
If there's medical calls, the fire department will get reimbursed if it's,
Okay.
we
if Medicare's still primary.
They have, many of the veterans have VA insurance.
Oh, VA insurance.
And they have disability, and they do pay. They will pay if they get transported.
Because I believe when Dan was at one of our meetings, they had checked with, they had called the city to see, well, how many calls do you get or whatever, and they said like, it's an extra, just to the Jacob Eddy Center, it was like 200 calls a year. So that's really substantial for the township.
Mhm.
And the biggest part for that extra funding that we're trying to command,
Yeah.
for that, is that the people that are working now to do that are working full-time. So when they get a call at 2 o'clock in the morning and have to go out, they probably don't go back to bed. They do the paperwork or whatever and go to work. So we're getting burned out, and we've been talking about this for 2 or 3 years, eh? They have seriously talking about it, otherwise it's been more, but, if they decide, they don't wanna do this anymore, what are we gonna do? So we're trying to figure out
How to
if
fund
this
it.
village doesn't work, we'll have to either go back to the drawing board or sell the ambulances. We only have so many options.
But this issue is not just statewide, it's national. Okay, so if we can come up with a solution that works for us, we may be able to share that with other communities that are like communities. We'll have to see. They're to bring back all the data after a year of doing this. And so there will be an evaluation period and to see. Yeah, but the people who are transported, their insurances are billed for the transport. So, and that will show up on the report, the amount of money taken in for transporting people to the emergency room.
This isn't an announcement, just kind of a question to anyone. Did any of you get any letter from Eagle about having your water tested from your wells?
We did.
Oh, yeah, my son did in Nagani Township.
I've never seen that before. Is that the first time this has happened, or?
First time I saw it. You don't have to do it.
No, but I was just curious why they're even doing it, and
Maybe they were mandated to do something.
Where they were looking for lead, weren't they?
it seemed like
I can't remember.
not
Not
just
sure what
lead,
they were
but other
looking
things
for.
too.
Yeah, the minerals.
So
Yeah, it did say
What happens if they
mineral.
find it in your well?
Yeah, exactly. That was my husband's first concern.
Yeah,
Open
but I don't know anybody that would really want to
up
take a
that.
sample and send it in, just in case.
I just learned the other day that the township has a kit that you can put at your pressure tank, and then you can, I don't know, who handles it here at the township?
No, I think it's county, isn't it?
Yeah, but Lenny would be the water person.
Well, no, when I was talking to Randy, he said, oh, yeah, we have those kits here, I'll give you one, and he forgot, I guess he left, he's gonna give me one tonight. That's my well water.
Oh,
And then, my understanding was, you pick it up here, you bring it here, and give it to somebody here. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
I've always done it through the county health department and picked up the cup or whatever, it's sterile, and then you run it up to the lab in, gosh,
Right on the highway.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I think you have to bring one to the lab, and then you have to mail one into MSU, if I remember right, when we did ours quite a while ago, for a certain kind of testing for something.
Where I had to bring this was up to, gosh, it was somewhere up in Ishburne.
Yeah,
in Ishburne,
you're right.
And it was on the,
Wastewater.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly, that's where I had to go.
And Marquette City does as well, they handle a different one, so that's where Randy's getting his test from his job at the city.
Well, we just did it, I
Oh.
would say 3 years ago when we put in a new well. So this is very recent. That I did
Yeah.
that.
Okay. All right, no more public comment? Rob, nothing?
I can say something.
Sure.
If you, I'll get up here all the way, I guess. Rob Sved, 1420 Cox. If you check the DDA meeting minutes from 2025, you'll see that that year we did a tour around the township on all the DDA facilities, especially our pedestrian pathways, and we did talk about, or I guess they did talk about, the pathway, putting a pathway possibly up 492 towards Schwemmwood and looking for ways to safely get across there. There is a sidewalk that dead ends right at that intersection. And the hope was to try to find some funding eventually to go up 492 on the Lost Creek side. So the only reasonable spots to cross would be at that T intersection or the Iron Ore Heritage Trail. And the Iron Ore Heritage Trail also has some issues there that I addressed with the manager, and we're hoping that the problem just goes away on its own. But there's a nice gravel turnout there, and there's been people parked there,
Yes.
which makes it very, very hard to see.
People coming on the
Yeah,
trail.
when they're coming up the trail going, I guess it would be west, when they're cutting across from behind parked cars, they're all of a sudden there when you're coming down that road. And it's marked 45, so like Linda says, they're not going 45.
So we need a no parking sign by that gravel.
That's, yeah, that was my thought. Either that, or there's a guardrail that's there too. I mean, the guardrail would be the much more expensive option, but have that guardrail extended to block off parking there. There's no reason to park there when Schwemmwood is 100 yards down the trail. That's where people should park if they want to get on the trail network there.
Why is that turnoff there?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Because it does look inviting for somebody to park there and get out and walk their dog or unload their bike.
Yeah. And it could have just
It
been
wasn't
there.
always there.
It could have just been put there when they were doing work on the Iron Ore Heritage Trail, putting it in.
They had extra
Could have just
gravel.
been, right, needed a place to park equipment, who knows, but yeah,
That's true.
it's not a great location.
So that'd be north and west of Schwemmwood entrance, right?
Southeast.
South and east. Yep.
South and east?
Yep.
Okay.
So where the Iron Ore Heritage Trail crosses, it's the southeast corner. There's a, I don't know, a spot of gravel about as big as half this room where you can park a couple cars.
I think I remember them doing that when they were remodeling, or not remodeling, but redoing 492 a couple years ago.
Yeah, 'cause
Remember when they had that all tore up? Because I don't remember it there before that, and I think they
I
put it
drive
in
that
then.
way like once every 6 months, so.
Yeah.
You guys would know better. Yeah, it's a dangerous spot.
Mhm.
Needs to be addressed at
Yeah,
some
I
point,
agree.
too. And agree with everything you're saying on parks. We should toss a lot of money on parks, and I will say also that I don't think a millage will go through for something like that for a while, but we should definitely look at the township board. There's money to be had there. They found $23,000 to put up the noise canceling stuff. And they also found $175,000 to kick to the fire department to start the 24/7 EMS to cover this year. So I believe there's some money to be had if we need it. And I also think that we do have some foundations in Marquette County that would probably work with us, and we could have funds set aside at those 501c3s that are existing that would take in funds. I've also been tossing an idea in my head that I think with the amount of usage that's coming out of that park right now, we should have an AED there, possibly two, possibly one at the pickleball and one at the ice rink. Looked at prices, get an AED and put it in there for a little over $1,000. You'd need a winter cabinet that runs about 1,500, that's heated, good for weather. Also has cellular connection, so when somebody opens it, it takes a picture and also dials 911. So safety shouldn't be a concern or it being stolen shouldn't be a concern. So for $2,500, we should be able to get 2 of those. So that's something that I would like to look at too. So if anybody wants to jump on that bandwagon with me, let me know.
John Layton and I talked about that, especially with Community Day coming, and I think we were gonna snatch one from here and bring it there for Community
If this building
Day.
is closed on that day, I would recommend taking
Yeah.
one out of the township offices for it.
Yeah, that would be a Saturday, so, well, might be early voting. I don't know. We'll figure it out, though,
It's always
because,
the water department one.
John and I were,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
John Layton and I were talking about that, but, yeah, that's a great idea. We've talked about that for a couple of years now.
Wonderful.
Lots
That's
of
all I got.
people.
Thanks.
Thanks, Rob. Any comments from commissioners?
I'll just follow up on the Quindecidum. It is spelled Quindes, or excuse me, CIM, and we're meeting the third Wednesday of the month at 6:30. And the board has been formed, the officers and everything. I believe we have accepted bylaws, and she just submitted the final paperwork for the IRS to get her EIN, whatever numbers. So,
Okay. Danny, anything else?
No.
No? Linda?
No,
Me neither. So, meeting adjourned at 7:22.